The final group stage battles for the Football World Cup are in full fruition, with so many meaningful games here, there and everywhere. And we're starting to get into the point where every game can decide a team's World Cup story. So me, William, from Forecast Sports, am going to run through some Football World Cup previews and get through and have a look at what's upcoming with these last few group stage matches. I'm going to look at Norway vs France, New Zealand vs Belgium, Colombia vs Portugal, and England vs Panama. And there are a lot of big matchups there and a lot of big stories on the line within these matchups. The top of the table clash for Group I is France vs Norway, and that is on Friday the 26th at Boston Stadium, and there is so much on the line for these two sides. It is not the World Cup qualifying that's on the line to the round of 32, but it is what position they will go through with, and that is always key, because if you get second, you are going to face a number one side or a second place side, and the top will always get the easier route through. So this is an important match for both France and Norway, and I think there will be some interesting battles within this match, and Norway do have a chance here. Senegal and Iraq are the other two sides in Group I, but these two sides are clear of them, with Senegal going down both to these two sides and Iraq going down to both these two sides. Well, so France have come off 2 back-to-back wins, which Norway have as well, but with 3 goals in both their games, France. So they've shown that they can put the ball in the back of the net, which is key when you look at any side trying to break down those sides that sit in the low blocks. While Norway, they beat Senegal 3-2, so a close matchup there, but they won out that game tactically and showed that they are not just here to play World Cup group stage, they are here to go far within this World Cup, and I think they can be dark horses within the knockouts. Now France, they are such a moment side. They know they've got these key players, world-class players within their side, and especially in that attacking area of the pitch, I can definitely see them producing some incredible moments this World Cup, and that's where they base their team from. They're quite a patient side, but they wait for those stars to make their moments. They're also strong with their movement up front. Now, the last 2 matches, there were questions about how these front players, Mbappe, Elise, Dembele and Barcola, who was in for Desiree Doué against Iraq, how they would connect within this World Cup, as they are all possibly wanting to be the stars of this French side. But what I've seen so far is great signs for France football, because they are really looking good together. And the movements that they are making, there are rotations here with Elise and Dembele and Mbappe coming back to do work, and it's really working for them. I don't know about Barcola at the moment. He had a good first game, but that second game he wasn't really involved heavily, or didn't really make a big impact to the game. But those other 3 are key for France. Their weaknesses, though, are at the back. So when they are defending, we can see that left back area. Digne, yes, he's a good player, but he's not world class. That's where they can get around them, and often when they do sit forward, they are vulnerable to counterattacks. But this is probably one of the strongest defences in the world. So it's something saying that their weakness is at the back here. Now, Norway, they are best at getting numbers on that transition, and obviously have Haaland there to finish off. So it's when they get that transition, they are so good getting Nusa, Haaland, Soloth, and Odegaard forward, and they are dangerous. Those four players are really dangerous when they are attacking. They can create, they can finish, and they are the best executors in the world at finishing off, because they have a player of Erling Haaland's stature. Now the questions do come though, when their defense is hugely less class than their attack, and that's just because they don't have the world class players that they do up front. But where they can get beaten is when they get stretched in defence, as that back four is sometimes quite vulnerable, and back fours are always going to be vulnerable to counter to fast overloads, and that's where they do get caught out when they are stretched, and that's where I think France can really get at them, because of that width of their attack, the amount of players they can use to stress that defence from many areas. Now the key players for France are of course Mbappe and Elise, but there's so many more within that side. But that combination, Mbappe, Elise, I've talked about it a lot, but Elise and Mbappe are possibly two of the best in the world at the moment. And then you've also got Dembele, who is a Ballon d'Or winner from last year. So, but especially Elise and Mbappe, who Elise has the ability to put through some incredible passes and is so key to creating for France. And then Mbappe has the ability to finish at an incredibly high level. And that is what Norway have as well in Haaland, but they don't exactly have the defence to match France. Now Odegaard is also going to be key for Norway, and we saw him, he hasn't had a very big season due to injury for Arsenal, but Odegaard, when he's fresh, is going to be key, and the chances he can create and moving forward, he is really a key player for Norway to get those opportunities and to be able to hold on to that ball high up field and allow them to execute on the opportunities. Now this matchup, I think France are going to control it, and that's I don't think Norway will be disappointed. Like they won't mind France controlling it and building. It's the only thing is the pressure they will create, as France are so good at creating opportunities and producing goals that they will nearly be unstoppable for any side. So I think they are going to be really tough for Norway, and I think both the fullbacks for France will be quite high, and that's where Norway could catch them out. As we saw, Digne was coming high, crossing, and Koundé was overlapping, and that's where they do get a lot of those extra overloads, but that can also be detrimental to France in defence side of things. And that's where I think Norway's wingers could cause an issue, as they are they're quite underrated compared to how the rest of the side looks, as I've got Haaland and Odegaard, but though Noosa and Soloth are going to be key within these matches. That's why I think if Norway's wingers are quality, play a quality match, and are able to get behind those fullbacks, I think they can get a good result from this game. And that is why I have predicted that France are going to draw to Norway 2-2. A player who's been in the spotlight and has been in the spotlight for his whole career is Cristiano Ronaldo, and that is because he is back to business with the 2 goals he scored for Portugal. And there were so many questions about whether he was going to be here this World Cup, whether he should be benched, and to also talk about how Messi and Mbappe are showing up, those big players, but Ronaldo is failing to do so, but he has done so now. So this kind of hypes Portugal back up again, because Ronaldo is going to be key to that attack for Portugal. And what also made me excited for Portugal is the fact that Ronaldo showed he was part of the team, and we saw that with his free kick. He allowed Nuno Mendes to take. He faked it and allowed Nuno Mendes to take. And that's a small thing, but it is also key to show that he wants the best for this Portuguese side. And that is going to be huge. That working together, that's the question for Portugal. New Zealand are playing Belgium, and for this match, the winner goes through. How big could this be in Belgium's World Cup run, and how big is it going to be for New Zealand? This could change so many stories within the World Cup. Belgium need this win, and New Zealand, they've got really nothing to lose here. Now, if there's a draw, it depends on what happens in the other matches, and it could most likely mean New Zealand get knocked out and Belgium get through. But if we focus on this storyline that the winner goes through, this is going to be huge, because if New Zealand do take this Belgium side by storm, this could cause ruptures within Belgium fans, and could show that they are somewhat of chokers at big tournaments. Now, this game is on Friday the 26th at BC Place in Vancouver, and it is a Group G matchup. Of course, Egypt and Iran are the other two in that group. So New Zealand have had a pretty exciting and entertaining start to this World Cup, with their draw with Iran, which could have gone either way, and their 3-1 loss to Egypt, which they led for the first half. Belgium, on the other hand, have not had a very good start to the World Cup. 2 draws to Iran and Egypt, where they would be expected to win both of them, and they just have not been able to score goals. There's been a big issue creating and finishing for them. As they have dominated the games, they just cannot seem to find those last balls to put into the box and put it in the goal. And that is where Belgium really need to improve. Now, New Zealand, they've looked really good with their transition speed. They've looked, and with their lengths up high. In that first game, it was incredible to see Eli just score 2 goals, and that was hugely because of Chris Wood's ability to hold the ball up high and link up with them. And we also saw the likes of Mikau and Singh really look good within the last 2 games. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they can keep that up and keep going with that link, even with this strong defence, and how they can just make use of the issues Belgium had back there. Now, they have been weak in defence at times, New Zealand, which is not surprising, seeing they work as a back four, and a lot of the lower ranked sides have worked in back fives just so they are secure against big sides such as Belgium. But I do not expect that to change at all, and that means they will have possibly a lack of numbers defending at times, and they will really be put under pressure from Belgium. But the thing is, Belgium, of course, haven't looked good at creating and finishing, so who knows where this game could end up. Now, Belgium have really good wingers. Trossard has played pretty good for what I've seen from him, despite their results so far. And Doku has obviously been out of camp for a while, so they have been missing a bit of that spark there. But those are their strong areas, and they are good at controlling games as well. The only issue is, when they have that control, they're not able to break down low blocks from sides that do sit back and don't try to attack the game often. Now, I can see New Zealand putting a big fight here with their transitions, because Belgium have looked like an issue getting in defence, as they have been weak and broken through not too difficultly. We saw Ngoy get that red card last game, and that was because Iran had broken all the way through and were in for a sure goal, but he took the offence and took the 0-0 draw. But showing that they've only conceded one is also a idea that they haven't been too poor in defence, really. It's been their attack which has been the main letdown for them. Now, the key players for New Zealand is Chris Wood, and I've also put Finn Surman here because this guy, he has been so key to putting those big shifts at centre back. And how many times have we seen him put in massive blocks that would have been possibly a goal? He is so often putting his body on the line and just leading this back line with incredible willpower. That's where I think New Zealand will really benefit from him and his work rate there. Now, Chris Wood, of course, is there because he's such a star and is going to be key for that moving forward as well. Now, Kevin De Bruyne for Belgium is going to be key with his opportunities he creates, because he hasn't been at the top of his game, but I can certainly see him switching that around. And if he can, that will be huge for Belgium to make those big moves. And Trossard, as I said before, he has been a big player and has been decent so far this World Cup. Now, when I look at these two sides, it's going to be definitely about how those midfields can dominate the game. I've seen there definitely are issues with that Belgium defence. It doesn't look not many amazing players. So I think there could be interest for New Zealand with Chris Wood and his attacking lines to get past the likes of Michele and Meunier. And Meunier does like to go high as well, so there could be breakthroughs around there. But Belgium obviously overpower this New Zealand side 90% of the time. But can New Zealand pull through here? And the biggest talking point, though, for Belgium is their striker. Lukaku's been back, but he's not the highest quality either. and De Ketelaere wasn't amazing there either. So it's going to be key. If Lukaku starts, he needs to be able to put the ball in the goal. We saw his impact in the first game where he scored. That is going to be key for them. Now, Belgium are going to control this game and try to use that left side with Trossard getting behind the New Zealand defence, behind the likes of Tim Payne, and Sermon will need to back him up there, and McCout will need to get back as well. So it's there are going to be Belgium are going to be able to get forward for most of the game, but can New Zealand make the most of their transitions? That is the big question. Are Belgium going to be able to break down New Zealand's low block? I'm not sure, and that could decide the result of the match. And because of Belgium's issues with that, I think it will be a 1-1 draw between these sides. Okay, I'm ranking my top 3 goalkeeper performances this World Cup so far because there have been some outstanding goalkeeping performances that have been put out there. And at number 3, I have Patrick Beach for Australia versus Turkey. What a performance there, with so many key saves that kept Australia in the game and kept the clean sheet, of course, and allowed Australia to be able to take their opportunities and win the game 2-0. So that was so key for Australia there, Patrick Beach. Number 2, I have for Iran, Berenvand, who was incredible versus Belgium. How many times did he save their defence? Belgium did put some big opportunities up, but he answered every single time and kept a clean sheet as well. Now, number 1, of course, is room for Cabo Verde versus Uruguay, where he made nearly the World Cup record of 15 saves. What a performance for this man, and he is showing how good he is, and there is surely going to be some transfers coming soon for him. Portugal are playing Colombia, and this game is going to decide who qualifies first, second, or third within Group K. And with Congo and Uzbekistan in the rest of the group, this could be a really crucial match for these top places, which are key for getting an easier route through the World Cup knockouts. Now, the game is on Saturday the 27th at Miami Stadium, and these two sides are looking pretty decent after their first few results. Portugal, of course, drew to Congo, but then beat Uzbekistan 5-0. So that was a really relieving match there. And we've seen those big sides go down and struggle against sides such as Congo, who have sat back in their back 5 of defence, all 11 behind the ball, and try to just keep it to a clean sheet. Now, Colombia have also looked pretty exciting. I've really enjoyed watching them and their style that they are producing this World Cup. Now, what their strengths are is their link-up play and their work around the wide areas. Now, they've got Luis Diaz and James Rodriguez and Victor Munoz, who are so good at playing out wide and creating opportunities. I've really, really enjoyed the way they've passed with slip perfection, and they've shown they can hold the ball that way with the skill set they provide to keep that ball. Now, they have been slightly weaker finishing. Uh, they haven't been able to put the topping on the cake, but with that, they still have been able to create decent opportunities and are looking quite strong. Now, they could also be
quite vulnerable to quick counters due to the fact that some of their players do roam quite high, such as Victor Munoz in defence. He does go quite high, move quite high, so they could be under pressure there as well. Now, Portugal, on the other hand, they're really strong at creating as well, and that midfield is a very, very exciting midfield to watch. But the the other thing with this Portuguese side is their fullbacks, Nuno Mendes and João Cancelo. Now, the attention's always on the Portugal midfield with Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, and João Neves, and then those wingers. But it's more, I would say, for me, the fullbacks who are great at creating opportunities because of their runs forward, especially Nuno Mendes, who likes to run high and create very quick runs straight down that left flank. And it just gives Vitinha, Neves, and Fernandes an extra option to look for because they do sometimes get stuck with only Ronaldo to look for, as Neto and Felix are not quite the quality they would like on those wings. Now, they do get caught sometimes with that counter because of their fullbacks getting quite high, so that could also be a real vulnerability for Portugal here. And since both sides really are going to be vulnerable in that area, it could be quite an interesting matchup and could be about those wingers, how they can get behind the defence lines. Now, Luis Diaz is going to be so important for Colombia, as he always is, on that left wing, and that's because of his he's just a world class player. His creation is quite superb, and he is pretty much the perfect left winger you would want in the team. Now, the other guy I love watching is Victor Munoz, and his really long and high runs he creates and gives them an extra option. James Rodriguez doesn't actually always sit on that right wing. He does drop into more of a number 10 role. So Munoz is an option from that right and gives them that extra attacking player and extra width they can use within matches. Now, Portugal, their key player is Bruno Fernandes, and he has been in incredible form and can create opportunities just like that. Now, the opportunities cannot be finished without a player like Ronaldo. And if Ronaldo is playing well, Portugal should perform to a good standard. Now, if he's not, that could be an issue for Portugal. But we saw with his last match, 2 goals. I think he can stand up at strike, and we know he's got incredible experience. We cannot deny how good Cristiano Ronaldo is, despite his age. Now, that could be the big questions for this game will be how well Portugal work those wingers. And whether they do just try to work those fullbacks without overlapping runs and try and keep the wingers as hanging in that area. Because I think the fullbacks will do a better job of getting behind and producing quality crosses into that box for Ronaldo and whoever else tries getting in there. So that's where I think they will be best at. And on that left side, Portugal, they can find the vulnerabilities of Munoz moving too high. So it's going to be key to see whether Nuno Mendes and João Felix do work together well with those overlapping runs. Now, it's also going to be interesting to see how these two sides play the possession game. I think Portugal will hold most of the position within the match, while Colombia will try hit it with the speed and their link-up play on counter-attacks, as they are great at connecting well. I think overall this game is going to end as a 2-2 draw, as Colombia, I think, can make use of capabilities of Portugal and are looking like a really exciting side. So a lot to look forward to within this match. My quick predictions for the rest of the World Cup group stage matches. At number one, I have Curacao versus Ivory Coast. I think Ivory Coast will win that 3-1. Ecuador versus Germany. Now, I think Germany will get this done 2-0. Tunisia versus Netherlands. This could be interesting, but I think Netherlands will win by a decent margin 3-0. Japan versus Sweden. Japan to take this one as well 3-1. Turkey versus USA. I think USA are simply too good at this World Cup at the moment, and they will win 2-0. Paraguay versus Australia. I think Australia will win 1-0 in a really tight encounter. Now, Norway versus France. That could be interesting, and I predicted a 2-2 draw there. Senegal versus Iraq. Senegal to win 3-0. Cabo Verde versus Saudi Arabia. I think Cabo Verde 1-0. Uruguay versus Spain. I think Spain will get this done 2-0. New Zealand versus Belgium. Now, I think New Zealand will draw this one all. 12, I have Egypt versus Iran. Egypt should get this done 1-0. Panama versus England. England to only win 4-1. Croatia versus Ghana. Croatia to win 3-0. That'll be a big margin. Colombia versus Portugal, 2-2. Congo versus Uzbekistan. Congo to win that 1-0. Algeria versus Austria. I think that will be a 3-3 draw. Jordan versus Argentina. Argentina to win 1-0. England need to recover from their draw to Ghana 0-0 and are playing Panama next for the last group stage game. And if they want that top space, they need to win this. Now, Panama are already knocked out of the World Cup, but they will be here to play, and they have actually looked decent within this World Cup. Now, this game is on Saturday 27th at New York, New Jersey Stadium, and it's a group L encounter with the other two sides in this group being Ghana and Croatia. Now, of course, England drew their last game 0-0 versus Ghana, and that was a really scratchy performance from England. They didn't get any flow within the game and couldn't link up and produce the chances that they did versus Croatia. Now, Panama have only lost their two games versus Ghana and Croatia 1-0 for both. So that's why I think Panama really do have an opportunity here to show and put on entertainment for their fans within this match. Now, England, of course, they have great creators and are very good off set pieces. But when this doesn't work, there are sometimes a lack of options. And that's where they need to work it out and make sure that they are keeping the ball and working well together. It's always big if those creators don't perform well, like they didn't play well against Ghana. That's when they do get into trouble. Declan Rice wasn't huge quality. Jude Bellingham wasn't amazing, and Madueke, the wingers weren't my favourite. Madueke was all right, and Gordon were all right, but they weren't perfect. And that's possibly an issue for England. That's one of my weaknesses, their consistency. The consistency of England, sometimes with the pressure, and a lot of the time, they do falter. Now, it's a different team. There's a different perspective of this England side. And I don't think there's going to be as much pressure on the inside of the team as there have been in past occasions. But we all know there's still going to be pressure within their environment. The combinations are quite questionable at the moment for England. We haven't seen the best of the creators. Anderson was quiet against Ghana. We need to see more of him putting his great balls through the middle and allowing those wingers to do what they do best. I didn't see the best of Declan Rice either. He didn't produce many quality balls, which he usually does. And Harry Kane was, of course, not up to standard to his incredibly high standard he has. Now, Panama, they are quite a physical side and have quite a bit of speed on attack, so they've been quite exciting to watch. And they do like entertainment football. They don't just sit behind the ball the whole game. We've seen them actually try to attack, but their weakness comes when they try to attack. They do get vulnerable at the back and are vulnerable to those quick attackers as they commit too many bodies forward often. Now, the key players for them are, I really like Cordoba at centre back. I think he's a worker. He does produce a lot of defensive contributions, and I really liked Rodriguez on the left wing as well, as he is a big option for them, making those quick runs down left and putting balls in. Now that can match up, and we've seen this England side be slightly interesting with that up front attack as Kane and Bellingham rotate for that top striker position and are quite fluid. Kane likes to drop, Bellingham likes to hang around and make runs. So that could be interesting to see how they work that out. And I think if they do play well, those two, England will reap benefits, and I think they will put a big performance out if that does occur. Now, I think they will stand up this game, and that's just because of the quality they've got on their side and what they can do with the players they do have. I think Thomas Tuchel, that was just a blip for them, I'm guessing, but I think that Bukayo Saka will come into that starting lineup for England, as Madueke did not perform as well as England were hoping he would, and he looked quite frustrated as well up there. So possibly Saka, he's the better quality there, and coming back from injury, I think hopefully he is full fitness for this England side. Now, we haven't seen the best from Spence and James either. James hasn't been involved very much at all. So, and with Tuchel's system, he isn't involved hugely because they do like to use Rice on the inside and Gordon on the outside, and there's not many overlapping runs or attacking moves they produce with them. Now, big tactical point here is Panama are out, so are they going to go for the win? And if so, England won't have to worry about breaking them down because there will be opportunities on those transitions. But if they do decide they want the draw here, Panama, or a close result, it could be interesting because England will have to break them down and take time to get through that Panama defence. What will happen in this game, what will decide the game, will be whether Panama and how strong Panama are at the back. If they're strong at the back, this could be an interesting encounter. It could go the full 90. If Panama don't stick with it the whole game at the back and have lapses of attention, then it could be a bit of a blow up for England. So I'm predicting England to win 4-1 over Panama. Okay, thank you for listening to this preview podcast and watch in for those games because this World Cup and enjoy the World Cup because there are some really exciting matches coming up. Tune in for more. We'll have so much more, especially with the knockouts coming up. So listen and look out for more from posting places. But thanks for listening, and I'll see you later.